On this week's episode of the podcast, we welcome Hilary Allen, or as some know her as Hilly Goat. Hilary is an elite trail runner with one hell of a story. In 2017, she suffered a near-fatal fall while racing in Norway, breaking 14 bones and being told she would never run again.
Fast forward nearly 10 years, and she has defied all odds, returning to full competitive racing with a pretty nuts resume. She has recorded podiums and course records on almost every continent, including Ultra Trail Cape Town 100 miler, TDS by UTMB. She represented Team USA at the 2025 World Mountain Running Champs in not one but two events, and has even dipped her toes in competitive gravel bike racing because being elite at one sport is apparently not enough.
Mara and I had a great time recording this one. We had a lot of laughs and we learned a lot too as we got into the nitty-gritty of injuries, recovery, and the mental roller coaster of being an athlete. It's a goodie. I hope you enjoyed as much as we did. Hilary Allen, welcome to our Run Special podcast.
I'm so honored to be here.
This is going to be so much fun. This is our first interview for 2026. We've had some pretty amazing guests through 2025, so you're going to kick things off the right way. You could argue our first international guest.
Oh,
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
No,
Well, I mean,
she
we've
is.
had Olympic gold medalists,
oh my gosh.
Oh, let's just start off by...
but you'll be our first international athlete all the way here from America. So Maya's going to take charge on this one, but thanks heaps for taking the time out of your day to come and talk to us for an hour or so. And I hope that the people who listen to this, get a whole bunch of different stuff out of it, and the learnings that you've had in the 20-year career that you've had.
Thanks.
Gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Excited to be
Amazing.
here, yeah.
Go for it, Maya.
Fountain knowledge. Stoked to have you here. Oscar wasn't here when she walked in this morning, and I had a little heart flutter moment where you guys came outside the door, and I was like, okay, it's time, let's go. But yeah, huge fan of you and your career, so this is going to be really cool, and excited to
thanks.
spend the next kind of 6 hours or so with you floating around here in little old Christchurch. But yeah, I thought we'd just start off by talking about, obviously you've been to New Zealand before, but you're here with us now. How long have you been on NZ shores in the last week or so?
Yeah, so not long enough. Last year was the first time I was here. I competed in the Tarawera, the miler.
Yeah.
And I was able to rent a van on the South Island for 4 weeks, and then traveled around, did all the famous tracks, and then went back up to Rotorua. And then so now I've actually was only here for 2 weeks before I was over in Australia.
Yeah.
But then I was able to go on the Hillary track, which is so cool. So yeah, that was awesome.
Yeah, no, I enjoyed seeing you posting about that.
Yeah.
So stoked. And you're lining up at Tarawera 50 in, 3-4 days time? Is it Saturday?
It's on Saturday. It's in 3 days.
Yeah. Yeah.
But hey, this is good because then I don't have time to really think about it.
Yeah. We'll just distract you
Exactly.
doing all this funny, silly stuff in the meantime. Hopefully not make you do too much running. Yeah. What's your kind of impression of New Zealand trails compared to, obviously you've trained and lived and raced all around the world?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, okay, so first of all, thank goodness for people who made the Hillary track or the Milford track or the Rootburn track, because I was on some, of the not so famous tracks down on the South Island. It is rugged terrain.
Yeah.
And even on the North Island, it's just so densely, it's just so much underbrush and it's insane. And on the Hillary track, I did a 35K run, and it was climbed over 2,000 meters. So it's gnarly. You don't need to have I come from big mountains. I live in Colorado. You don't necessarily need to have the huge, expansive, high alpine terrain to get a lot of to get proper mountain and trail running in. I will say there's a lot more oxygen. I did try to do some I did a track workout this morning, and I was like, this feels very easy. And then I was like, it's because there's way more oxygen than from where I live. But
what altitude are you sort of based at over in the US?
1,600 meters.
Yeah, okay.
So,
Just about where we were in Canfranc, I think, 1,600. Yeah.
Exactly. Well,
Which,
a little bit lower. I think it was 1,000. But yeah, we went up to up there.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's kind of like home. But yeah, I've trained all over and lived all over, and every place that I go is just so unique. I would say that like, what makes New Zealand so special is just that there's nothing on the trail that can kill you. Like I can run in the early morning, and it's like
Aside from someone with a boombox on the side of the road in Margaret, Auckland.
That was this morning. But like, you know, I don't know. There's like bears and mountain lions at home.
Yeah.
And I don't have to worry about any of that stuff. Just over in Australia, there's all these snakes. Don't have to worry about that.
Did you see any wildlife in Oz that?
Oh yeah.
Really?
I definitely saw some like red belly cobras.
No thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nah.
Like
See?
it was very scary.
People are always like, you should run more trails. I'm like, nah. Just
I know.
I want a 6-lane highway in a straight direction.
You know,
yeah.
I can see that because I've had some close calls with like rattlesnakes in
Yeah.
Colorado. Yeah, there's things you just don't want to mess with. I've run in Alaska where you have to run with bear spray for grizzly bears.
That's wild.
I don't like that. And then literally in Alaska, the foliage is above my head, so you
can't see
anything.
Oh, that's
And
like a
then-
scary movie in a cornfield.
Oof.
Oh, literally, I'm yelling. You can't go. I mean, people do go running by themselves. I do too, but I'm just kind of like, okay, well, that's why people run with guns maybe in Alaska. I don't know, but guns or bear spray.
Oh.
I can't get used to
Have
that.
you had to use it? No.
I've not had to use the bear spray, but I have seen a grizzly bear on a run, and it is like
Shit.
it's scary.
I guess
Oh.
that's one way to get to VO too.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, it's true.
Yeah.
I mean, but they're way. Hey, popular. I'm full of random wildlife facts, but grizzly bears, is even as big as they are, same with like black bears that are in Colorado that I see all the time. They can run like super fast, like 50 kilometers an hour. Like, but like short
short bursts.
But like they're way faster than me. So I don't want to. You don't run away from a bear.
Yeah.
No, you're supposed to
that's
make
the thing
yourself
they
look real
say,
big and-
yeah.
What's
Yeah.
that gonna
Which is easier said than done.
So yeah, but yeah, so I like that about New Zealand. Plus, like the
Yeah.
community, it's cool to like meet different people and different runners, and like
Yeah.
some are, it's like very open, and you like find a runner, and it's like they're your instant friend giving you like trail recommendations on Strava or whatever.
Yeah,
so
nice.
it's fun.
That's cool to hear coming from someone so international because, yeah, we do kind of pride ourselves in our natural landscape, but like a lot of people haven't probably run in the places you've run. So it's good to get that little pat on the back that, yeah, like New Zealand is cool. You should come
are.
run here. Shall we start at the start? I think the rough plan is we're gonna talk about your journey into running and then go through the accident and bits and bobs after that. Because you didn't get into running until you were probably a bit older than most. So what were you up to as a kid? Like, were you into sports, or what's your family sort of?
Yeah,
set
so
up?
my father is actually, he's a Brit, so he came over to the United States. He was enamored with the West. So we're a very outdoorsy family. So, like, always spending time camping, like tramping, I guess. I've learned this new word here.
What do you say, hiking?
Hiking.
In the
I
US?
say hiking.
Yeah.
Fast packing.
Tramp is a different thing in the United States. But I've been,
Yeah.
Well, no, it could mean the same thing here.
Yeah, that's
Really?
true. We don't.
Yeah.
Not probably as much as, yeah.
it's just
We can use
hilarious.
different terminology, but yes, you're right. That is quite funny.
It's really funny.
Particularly if you were talking to like an older generation, you're like, I'm going tramping. And they'd
And
be
then
like,
they'd look at me like my
what?
father's like, what are you doing? Like, huh? So basically grew up doing that. Both my mother and father were scientists. And so like, I think that was like just the common theme, like just very curious about the natural world. So just spent a lot of time outside. I think my first steps were like on a trail. I was camping before I could walk. And
Yeah.
then just grew up that way. We were always like a very athletic family. Like my dad was a really good runner. He's 80 something now, 83 he's going to be this summer. And he 60 plus years ago ran like a 2:28 marathon. So he was a very fast runner
okay.
for the time.
Yeah. So there's some genes going on there.
I guess so, but my
Yeah.
sister was the runner. Like,
Oh,
so
interesting.
She was the fast runner. She had the scholarship to like go run in college. I was for someone who was very athletic, who had more like eye-hand coordination. Like I could actually catch a ball. So I played ball sports. I played tennis. I had a scholarship to go play tennis in college. But in my family, we could do sport, but it was always an addition to academics. So like academics was always
interesting.
the focus. Like
Yeah.
they're scientists. So like my passion was science. I wanted to pursue science. I was going to go to grad school and then like get my PhD. Ultimately it was in like neuroscience, but like running and sport was always like a best case scenario. It was always like, okay, if you're getting good grades, then you can do sport. It was always kind of like
it's
benefit.
an extracurricular, like in every sense. Yeah.
Yeah. It was never ever thought about like, and plus my sister was the athletic one. Like she was the talented one. Like I was just doing it for fun and like because I loved sport. And so I actually didn't get into running until I was in grad school. And I was like 23 at the time and then I like ran my first, road marathon, and that quickly turned into like, I discovered I had a knack for long distance running.
Yeah. So talk us through, I guess, that transition between you're locked in studying neuroscience, you're studying to get your PhD, and then somehow you go from that being the focus to all of a sudden I'm a professional ultra runner for the North Face. How did we get from there? Like,
it happened actually pretty quickly, because when I first started running, I run a road marathon for fun. I wasn't that tired, and then I like kind of like hopped in with these like trail and ultra runners. I literally didn't know it was a thing from the time I discovered trail and ultra running to when I was actually a sponsored athlete for the North Face. I think it was like maybe a year and a half.
Gosh.
And so there was some talent there, but it was also just based in because I was having fun and because I liked working hard, and it was an outlet for me for science. So I the more I would run, the more creative I felt. It gave me a break from lab, and then I'd work harder in the lab, and then I'd work harder running because I wasn't in the lab. And they fed off of one another. And I actually had this, like, I was pretty stubborn about it. I didn't want to race or to compete. And the guy I was dating at the time, he encouraged me to do a race. Actually, kind of tricked me into it. But I didn't want to do it because when I started, I really had like lost the love of tennis that I had after basically it being uber competitive, and it just became really unhealthy in college. Yeah. And so I just didn't want that to happen to something that I loved so much. So I was very resistant to racing. I was like, no, I'm just going to run these trails. I can run in national parks. Like I'm content. And then I ran my first race, and the first one I did, I kind of like blew up. Like I didn't really know what I was doing. But then the second time I did it, I like got third place and beat some sponsored runners. And I was like,
that's crazy. Yeah.
Okay. And then grad school was really busy. And then I didn't race for a little bit. And then the next time I actually put together a season, I raced the US Skyrunning Series. So this is my second year. Like basically I did my first trail race, February of, I don't even know, 2012 or something like this. Then like 6 months later, I do another, like I put together like a season. Yeah. Like 3 separate races, all happen to be sky running races.
And this is still while you're studying and you're not yet with the North Face.
No, this was all like when I was studying. This is all when I basically running at this point. Even then I decided to do these races basically as an excuse to go somewhere. I would finish lab work on a Friday afternoon, hop in the car, drive 6 hours to this trail race, or, leave Friday morning after, working until midnight the night before to finish my lab work. Get in the car, drive 10 hours to go to this other race because it's a cool destination. And again, I love sky running because it had, like, I discovered quickly that I had this like knack for going uphill. And I really I loved it because I love to go uphill mostly just for the views that you could get. Yeah. And so I basically did this race in Utah. It's called Speed Goat. And it was, I think I almost beat like Ellie Greenwood or like, and
you're just doing it after.
And I was just doing it for, I was like, oh, okay. And then I heard at the finish line, these people talking about, oh, there's this other sky race in Bozeman, Montana. And then there's this other one in Flagstaff. And I was like, oh, okay.
It kind of just snowballed and snowballed.
Yes.
And at what point did sort of the North Face like approach you and say, hey, you're actually...
Well, it was after the season. So basically I did Speed Goat, and then I made my way over to Bozeman, and then I made my way over to like this other sky race. And I ended up like placing pretty well in the Run the Rut, I think behind Emily Forsberg.
Gosh.
I was either like, I think I was 5th or 4th or something. And then I went over and I raced the Flagstaff Sky Race, and I ended up winning that and setting a course record. And I basically competed in enough of these sky races that I ended up winning the
But you
US
weren't
Sky
intending
Running
to win
Series.
the series. You were just like, oh, yeah, that'll be fun.
Yeah.
I'll do that one too. And you just tick
Yeah.
those boxes and then, I won the national series.
Well, that was it. And then
Yeah.
basically it kind of like stumbled into it. And it was after the fact that like North Face, they happened to have, Run the Rut was owned by one of their North Face sponsored athletes.
yeah.
And they're kind of like word of mouth. And then, I had some sponsorship interest. And I was like, no way is this a thing. And I remember literally like taking a call with like the athlete manager for North Face in between lab experiments on a random Tuesday. And then like getting offered, a sponsorship, which was, like sponsorship. It was like I got a running kit and some like travel reimbursement.
Yeah.
Like maybe like, a couple $1,000, like not much, but like that was enough for me to be like, all right, I want to like see what other cool places I could run.
Yeah. So that kind of, I guess, lit the fire for there might actually be a space here for me.
Well,
I'm
yeah,
gonna
and
push
like,
into it and see.
yeah, like to try some other races and like one of the like the prizes for winning the US Sky Running Series was to then do a World Sky Running Series race.
yeah.
So I picked a race in Chamonix, the 80K, the Mont Blanc 80K.
Yeah.
That's 90K, but like the next year, and
Yeah.
basically I placed third at that race, which is the first time an American
Yeah.
had like done really well on the European circuit. And so it basically opened the door and allowed me to get, kind of give myself permission to to try it out. And then I was also simultaneously having some like second thoughts about whether or not I wanted to kind of like cross all the X's and dots in grad school. And I kind of like defended my thesis, put it on hold for a bit. And then I told myself, okay, I'm going to give myself a year. I'm going to see what I can do with this, like, basically money that I could live off of in Europe for a couple months. And then that was 12 years ago. And I never went back.
The rest is history, a very up and down and around kind of history, but it is history.
The cool thing about that is the sky running was only just kind of coming into the spotlight. Like, can't remember that 2008 to 2011. I've been selling shoes for a long time, but it was just starting to get talked about. And so you obviously opportunities come up, you hit the window, and then we talk about momentum. So did you find that you just all of a sudden you had this kind of momentum and it was fun and exciting?
Yeah.
And I mean, we've only been talking for 15 minutes, but I'd use the word joy.
Oh, yeah.
Your face straight away lights up, sky running, trails, fun, Chamonix.
I mean, honestly, I think that's the best place to be. And we'll kind of go through this throughout all the questions, but there's been, when I've been performing at my best, it's when I'm the most joyful. It's when I have, that joy feeds so much of the momentum. And if you lose that, whether, I was running so much for myself. I didn't run to get sponsored. I didn't run to then, maintain sponsorship. I was just out there being curious and joyful and running. And that's, for me at least, when the most magic happens. And then you can maintain that momentum and literally, view the world with open eyes of, through opportunity rather than just, oh, what could happen? What if I don't get this? Life goes on. I've had a lot of crazy things happen to me. And if I lead with, joy and positivity, things seem to work themselves out.
Did you find that, because you talk about running for yourself and for the joy and stuff, did you find that being paid to run changed your relationship with running at all? Because at the end of the day, your money comes in if and when you perform, right? So,
Well, 100%.
An element of pressure there. Yeah.
Absolutely it does.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's been the balance of trying to figure that out of, being absolutely grateful for the opportunities that I've had, working really hard for them and still running in any sort of, being an athlete is performative. There's pressure to perform. And also it's a very limited time in your life. I'm going to be paid to run and perform because my body is able to do these things. There's going to be a time where that actually won't happen. But that doesn't mean I'm going to stop running, right?
Yeah.
So what is actually my motivation for running? Is it to prove something to someone else or fulfill their standards? Or is it really to see what I can do to be the best version of myself?
Yeah.
And that's what's driven me forward. And then, of course, there's been some other happy, consequences of that.
Yeah.
But it's definitely a fine line. And there's been times in my career where I've completely lost that joy and I've been doing it for the completely wrong reasons.
Yeah.
And those have been the hardest times to actually like get back into peak performance or continuing to like actually, run well or make podiums. And
Yeah.
Can I dig in there for a minute? I'm just throwing the script out the window.
Go for it.
we don't have to start.
Yeah, when those times come about, so when you lose a little bit of the spark or the joy, what systems or strategies do you have in place with people, words, circumstances that you would use to, I guess, recognize the situation you're in? Because half the time you don't recognize, I'm saying what I feel sometimes. What strategies would you have in place to try and pull yourself out of that kind of mindset or situation?
Yeah, it's a really good question. And I think I'm constantly learning about this just as life, continues to evolve and change. And you have like different priorities. Because sometimes it feels like it's just clicking. And then other days you're like, oh my gosh, why do I not have any momentum to get out the door today? So for me, the first thing is like removing expectation. Because a lot of that, I think, it's like we're caught in this world, especially now where we feel like the magnifying glass is on everything. Everything is trackable, from like Instagram, Strava, your coach, like even your friends. Like it feels like everything is measurable. So the first thing I do is I just like, I don't do it. I don't track. Yeah, I don't post to Strava. I don't actually wear my watch. I try to pick a place to go run. This is why I love trail running. I pick a place to go run just because like I love it. Sometimes, even as recently on this trip, it's been hard to like go to a new place. It's beautiful and it's amazing, but like, I don't know where to run. I don't know anyone. I can, it's a different season. It's like, a different time of year. I'm on literally the complete opposite end of the world. And then some days I'll just give myself permission to be like, okay, like you can just go hike on a beautiful trail. Just give yourself that space to do it. And then I would do that. And then later that day I was like, oh, okay, I actually feel like going for a run now. Like, and then I was able to have like such a good time on the Hillary track doing this amazing run. But it's being, first of all, aware that it's happening, either from yourself or friends and family. And then for me, it's eliminating pressure. And I'm a huge journaler. Like I'm constantly writing. I write things down all the time. And really having this, like acknowledging that it doesn't have to be perfect and that you can be your own best friend and advocate. Like I used to judge myself pretty harshly for all these things. And the inner dialogue that I had was pretty negative. And that doesn't get me anywhere. And so it's just really going internal and literally at the end of the day, it's just running. And I know I'm sponsored and it's great, but first and foremost, it's just running. Just because I'm sponsored doesn't mean I'm the fastest runner in the world. I am not. Believe me, I just ran a road marathon and I was not fast.
You were quite fast.
You were pretty fast.
There's so many people ahead of you. There's always going to be someone faster. I mean, unless you're, who's the fastest runner in the world right now? I don't even know.
Maybe Kaplimo, but he got his world record taken away because the electric car was too close to him.
Oh gosh.
So they got made a boo-boo.
But all these things, someone is going to be faster, and unless you're doing it for yourself, it doesn't matter. And also, it doesn't matter. All the people that you think that are watching you and doing all this other stuff, it doesn't matter. And I love Brooks. I feel so fortunate to be sponsored by them. But at the end of the day, if I'm no longer sponsored by them, like, I'll still keep running because I love it. And if like I think my role is like, sure, it's great to run fast times and represent the United States on a world's team. Hey, you were there too. But like also legacy in sport. Like I love this sport. I love trail running. If my story or any of my time competing inspires other people to get on the trail, that is the most important thing, not my own results.
Yeah.
But that's hard. Like there's certain days where I don't believe any of that. And so I have to go back and like reread things, like reread why I run, visit my standards and go get in touch like on these quiet moments on the trail where no one's recording it.
The inner dialogue is
huge.
Very interesting sometimes. So we've talked about it
Well, I'm back into grad school again to get a master's in applied sports psychology.
Interesting.
So I mean,
Yeah.
I've lived the recovery story.
Yeah.
I know it, but now it's really cool to dive back into the science so I can help. Ultimately, I want to try to help other people with it.
So that is a nice segue.
Yeah.
I was trying to set you up.
I was like,
we got there.
what are the odds that we spend an entire podcast and we don't talk about the accident?
No.
People can read my book. It's cool.
We were, and I did purchase the book off Amazon, I think.
What do you think?
Yeah, it's an amazing story. I think you have, and we're going to talk about some of them, some mental attributes that have helped you and others see the bright spots in really shitty situations. And I think sometimes you can brush off the shitty situation and go, actually, I was okay. But you gave yourself space to be like, actually, this fucking sucks. This is shit.
Yeah.
And I hate it.
Yeah.
But what's the next best thing I can do? And that was the theme that I read between the lines, maybe.
Yeah.
Of the book was like, what's the next best thing? Whether it's in a race and my stomach's not great, whether it's getting hurt or injured, whether it's not getting to a start line, whether it's losing a contract and getting that's like, what's the next best thing I can do that will affect me positively and the people around me? So I mean, that's what does that kind of sum it up?
Definitely.
Yeah.
It's like, I think if I were to sum up my book in one sentence, it's like, you're stronger than you think you are, and that humans are more resilient, and hard moments are meant to break you. They're meant to teach you something. And it's exactly that. Like that being like injured for any runner, anyone who loves sport, it sucks.
The world's over.
It is. It literally is.
But it doesn't matter.
But it doesn't matter. And even though it does matter to you. It's like finding something to hold on to that will just force you to take that next step. And that's what life is all about. Because the only certainty we have is like, it changes. Life changes. It's unexpected. We can't predict it.
So talk us through if you're okay. I mean, you probably told the story a million times.
Oh man. Well, and so I mean, okay. So I mentioned skyrunning. That first season that I had in Europe was 2015. My first time racing on European trails, and I literally felt like it was a homecoming. Yeah. I loved it, and traditionally Europeans are on a different level for trail and technical racing than Americans, because we just have like buttery trails, like they're just amazing.
I definitely found that when I'd only did a couple of races over there, but the first one I did was just, they hike like gravity doesn't exist.
Oh, these are my people. I was like, I don't know how I had, like literally, it's so funny. Like some of my friends have described, like, I'll be running uphill and then I go into a power hike and I'm just like, phew. They're like, how is this possible? How are you hiking so fast? I can literally max out my heart rate hiking.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, wow.
I don't know how, but like, I love it. And so like any races that I could use that skill, it was just amazing. And so I had some success in Europe, and then, like, because I won the U.S. Skyrunning Series, I was like, I wonder if I could be, like, podium on the World Skyrunning Series, or, like, maybe win it. And I'd be, like, the first American to do so, because skyrunning was way more popular in Europe. It wasn't, like, Americans didn't really have as much success in Europe because the trails are just so different. And so, like, year 1, I was ranked 5th. Year 2, I was ranked 3rd. And then this is, like, 2017, I actually was ranked number 1. And I basically reached the final race of that season. Of course, this time, like, sponsorship is going well.
Yeah.
I had secured, like, a multi-year contract, like, doing that. And then, because, like, had proved that I still had it after, 1 year. And then that year, 2017, I was basically doing my victory lap. I had gone to Tromsø, Norway. It was this... the race that Killian and Emily basically created. Yeah. And it was...
Which if Killian's created a race, it's going to be gnarly as...
Exactly. Yeah. And that's, like, my style of race. Like, I practice this stuff all the time. So, like, this idea of skyrunning where it's very steep terrain and then it kind of incorporates some, like, 3rd or 4th class, like, very steep stuff. You're kind of, like, scrambling on all fours. Nothing proper rock climbing, but that was the stuff I practiced all the time like, at home in Colorado, and then... when I was in Europe, I just loved it.
Yeah.
And then, so this race was just like awesome. And I basically was still continued to use running as a way to explore the world. Like if I like would pick the sky running races, like, oh, I haven't run in this country yet, or I haven't run in this part of the Dolomites, or like this part of the Pyrenees. And then I would just like boom, boom, boom. And then like had never run in Norway. So it's like, oh, I'm going to go here. This race looks amazing.
Yeah.
And basically I had enough points that I just had to finish the thing. I didn't even have to. I didn't even have to podium, and I was gonna like come home with number one.
Yeah.
And at the like not even the high point, but reaching the high point, we're on this ridge, and you're still running. It's still like second class, and I think someone had, it was a pathway for runners.
Yeah.
So someone had stepped on it. Maybe the rock was a little bit loose. In Norway, it's quite chossy terrain, and literally the 1 minute I was running, and the next. It was like the ground just gave way beneath my foot, and I was catapulted into the air. I recognized the horizon. I realized I was falling as I was airborne, and then everything just kind of slowed down. And I just remember like telling myself that this was it, that I was about to die. Try to stop the momentum, and that was kind of on repeat for a couple times. As I remember, like hitting the ground, I was airborne again, hitting the ground.
Can you still visualize, like, and do you feel some type of way, like, thinking about that fall? Because it's a huge thing, and you talk about seeing the horizon and the time slowing down and that sort of thing. Can you picture, gosh.
I mean, it's still a dream that I have, you have like the falling dream when you're going to sleep maybe sometimes.
Yeah.
I have it, and then but it's just more real life.
Oh, God. Yeah.
But, so I do have it. And, I mean, I think a way to work through it is to talk about it.
Yeah.
I don't believe in this whole thing of like, I'm triggered. In fact, I think it's like, if you avoid something that has has been triggering, like that's a way for it to keep triggering you. So as a way to like return to run, talk about it, it's a way for me to continue to work through it.
Yeah.
But like, so, I mean, yes, but there's also still moments where I still have like, not like a quite full-on panic attack, but like sometimes if I'm running on a trail that there's a lot of exposure, I'm just extremely aware of that.
Yeah. And
some days that feeling is a little bit too much, so I'll have to like, change my route mid run, or so that thing is still very real. It's still very there, and that's it's going to be like 9 years this summer. So
I guess because Oscar probably not so much on the pavement, but when like I have moments where I'm running along like a traverse or something and there's a bit of a bank and you're like, if I fell down there, that probably wouldn't be ideal. But what are the odds it's going to happen to me? But you've got a very real,
Yeah, and that's honestly, it's interesting because it's definitely, I don't do sky running anymore. I have done some sky races, but I don't do the series exclusively. It's just because it's like things have changed in the sport. It's now more like Golden Trail, but also it's like there's a certain amount of risk that is just a little bit higher on those types of races. And whatever would happen to me, it's just an idea that there's just a reality that every time you go running, and especially in the mountains, it's a non-zero factor of risk. So to say risk exists, and that just so happened that like that was the day that I fell.
Yeah. We will have covered this probably in the intro, but in 2017, lovely Hilary Allen fell 150 feet, 50 meters in New Zealand speak, broke 14 bones.
So, I mean, this is you've read the book, but like chapter 1, it kind of starts out with it. But like to give you a feeling, like I broke my back, I broke both wrists, 5 ribs, both my feet, my ankles. You know how you tie your race shoes on like pretty tight when you go out running?
Good old lace lock and
Yeah, well, I was falling, so fast. This is like a little, physics problem there for like, center of mass versus extremities.
Yeah.
Your extremities accelerate a bit faster. Both of my shoes flew off of my feet.
Wow.
So my feet and ankles were completely messed up. And so, there was a lot of, there's a lot of stuff that happened. But then was like helicopter rescued out of there.
Yeah.
But I mean, I go into this more after like talking about it with the accident, that I was lucky to have survived. Like
Yeah.
the first person that was on the scene, he didn't even check for a pulse. He was just pulling me from the side of the mountain. So yeah, it was
Yeah, because he was in the race, wasn't he? The guy that rescued you,
yeah,
Manu.
Power,
Yeah.
he saw me fall, and we already had like this friendly banter. I remember because like I would pass him on the ups, and then he would like blaze past me on the downs. He was like this amazing, Norwegian, like he's Spanish, but he lived in Norway, so he was really used to technical running. And they were kind of doing this zigzagging, and so I was ahead of him, and he saw me fall, and he just like shot into action.
Yeah. Gosh, just like no thinking.
Well, because he's trained in search and rescue, so again,
cool. Yeah.
very fortunate.
Yeah. You don't say. I think we want to delve into a bit more. So obviously you have the injuries plural by a lot of plurals. You're helicoptered to a hospital in Norway and then eventually planed back to the US. I think your story of that recovery journey back to running is really one we can probably all learn from a bit, because we all have moments where, injury is the...
My ankle's sore, I'm stopping.
Yep. And you were told you would never run again.
Yeah.
And there must have been some crazy intrinsic fire in you that made you go, yeah, I'm going to prove all these people wrong and get back to, or re-enter this sport that I love so much. So shall we start, I suppose? Do you want to talk us through, you come out of the hospital, you're back at home in the US, but, you're in cast left, right and centre. You need assistance doing all manner of things. What was your day-to-day life like when you were first kind of released from hospital and all your many bandages?
Oh my gosh. Well, while I still cast it up.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, because that was, 2 weeks later, I was at home, and then immediately I was in the doctor, and then had to have 2 surgeries on my wrists, and then another the serious surgery on my foot, and that was the one where they told me they kind of misdiagnosed something in Norway, and then this is where this sports doctor specialist, she would tell me, she's like, hey, I've seen this a lot. You're probably never going to run again. You'd be lucky if you can jog recreationally. This is a foot-changing injury.
Gosh.
And, I was, utterly depressed. I'm a very joyful person, but it's quickly how, one thing happens and, the whole, all the air and, the momentum gets sucked out of you.
Yeah.
And running had become my whole life. I literally was wow, what are the places that this could take me? It changed my life completely.
Yeah.
And I think I've always been a very stubborn person. I don't like being told what to do. I don't like having help.
This is a theme amongst elite athletes.
Opening the door to get out of the box.
I'm not asking for help.
But I don't like it. I felt like it was a sign of weakness. And just because I get a lot of, I think it's because we get a lot of satisfaction from a job well done.
Yeah.
You feel a lot. You feel like you've done hard work. You feel good about yourself, and you did it. You brought yourself that. But the first thing that I learned about recovery is that I had to ask for help.
Yeah.
I couldn't even I could not shower unassisted. I could not cook for myself. I had 2 casts on my wrists, and I could not hold more than a can of Coca-Cola. The weight.
Yeah.
And so basically I was trying to search for ways that would bring me some sort of autonomy and some sort of meaning, so I didn't feel so completely helpless and hopeless. And that could literally start with just the simplest of PT exercises, where I was trying to do some sort of mobility, or, I had one working leg, 'cause this one, my right was operated on. I couldn't bear weight on it for at least 3 months. And so trying to do something that would make me feel like I belonged. And then that was also leaning into science. I couldn't drive because obviously, and and so I hired a car service, and they would pick me up with the annoying elevator beeping sound. And then I had a job teaching at a small college, and I showed up to work. I was maybe a week late to the semester starting, but I talked to my professors. I knew it was important for me to find some way to keep on using my brain instead of just disappearing into this hole of injury. And every other athlete that I saw before me, that's what you did. you just disappear. You don't talk about it because you're afraid of losing sponsorships, and you just like you don't emerge again until you're recovered.
Yeah.
And that to me it happened very quickly in like 2 weeks. I was like the most depressed I'd ever been. So I knew I needed some sort of other purpose. And like I'd always had other jobs in addition to like running because I wasn't getting paid that much. Set expectations here, sponsorships, whatever. But I then, found a way to like continue showing up in a meaningful way in a place that like made me feel like I was contributing. And that was in the science classroom, teaching my chemistry class, teaching my intro to physics class, teaching my anatomy and physiology class. And the coolest thing is that this professor shows up. She's in this like freaking wheelchair. The students just like saw her getting like hoisted down from some like loud beeping van out the front of the thing. It was the most embarrassing thing, but I just had to, none of that mattered because like it mattered me showing up. And then I could teach my physics class and my anatomy class and be like, all right, pop quiz. I broke this, and this. Like, what are these bones? What is this ligament in my foot that's like preventing me from walking right now? And like, then no one missed it on the exam or like, calculate my terminal velocity when I fell this far from like, so finding like positive ways that like would distract me from the fact that I was so depressed. And then the more I found those little pieces of joy, I was creating my own momentum. I was creating things to like live for. And instead of like getting up each day and focusing on the fact that I couldn't run, I didn't know when I could run. I didn't know if I could run. At least I could do this. And that felt like I was more in touch with myself. And then ultimately, I know this is like, there's a lot of things to cover in recovery, but like ultimately that process of just like focusing on what you can do each day, it helped me to build momentum, literally like one pebble at a time. And eventually it created this whole mountain. And then in that time frame, I was able to discover more parts of me that was more than just running, which I knew I had all along, but I had already forgotten it.
Yeah, because you were only, I guess,
3 years.
For a couple. And I guess, did you feel like running was becoming your identity at that point? Yeah.
And that is a dangerous place to be. Like, I think I was letting it define all of my self-worth, all of my autonomy, all of my belonging in a community. And the recovery forced me into identifying that I was more than just a runner. And running, to me, it's like an expression of my drive. It's something that I love to do, and I'm always going to be an athlete. But that is not who I am. Who I am, Hillary as a person, is the one who likes to run or likes to bike ride or likes to go tramping in the red bush. But
in the red bush.
Sorry, I like.
I'm not going to bite on that. I'm fine.
No, that was good. That was good.
That was good. Yeah. That's the quote for the Instagram.
Yeah.
Hillary goes tramping in the red bush.
Tramping in the red bush.
Yes.
There's so many
With
ways
Myra
to
and
convey
Oscar.
that. Yeah.
That's
This is such self-control from him. Like,
this is what I wanted to create.
Yeah.
I'm trying to focus on the most New Zealand Instagram caption I can.
No,
yeah.
But that is why, and I think I have forgotten it so many times in my athletic career, but that's really what matters, right? It's like we're people first who love to run, and sure, we can do amazing, incredible things, but my accident changed my entire trajectory. I could have been a world champion, that. And by the way, that season I finished second, but no one remembers second place, haha. But
you were like, I'll show them.
but also then it opened up this whole entire different world and this whole entire part of myself that I had all along.
Yeah,
I had all of these strengths and this resilience, but the accident helped me uncover it.
Yeah. Jesus. Yeah, I think I was going to touch on this later, but having listened to your audiobook in my headphones for a long time, and you talk about it changing your trajectory, the trajectory of your career and your relationship with yourself. If you could go back to 2017 and undo that fall and just go through your running career with the usual ups and downs of, oh no, my Achilles is sore, I won't run tomorrow, etc., and maybe be world champion, and who knows, do you think you would you do it?
That's a good question. I've thought about this a lot. because some days I wake up and I'm like, I mean, I've had 7 surgeries in the past 8.5 years, all related to the fall.
Gosh.
So like I've been injured. Like the biggest predictor of an injury is a previous injury, and I had a pretty significant one. So like, yeah, those sucked. Like my body has changed. It's different. Like 100%. I like when I think about it, I'm like, I don't want this. Like I wake up every day, I think about the accident because like I'm reminded of it, either with my scars or just like lingering issues that I still have to figure out. But then I think about it and I'm such a different person, and I don't think there's certain things in life that teach you something. And I've always been someone who learns the hard way. And I don't think I would have learned these other facets and like just this depth that I have as a person without that. And so if you really push me, I would say no. I wouldn't change it.
Gosh, yeah, that's quite... Yeah, there was definitely themes in the beginning of, or probably the first half of the book, where you talk about like wanting to get back to where you were, and you were afraid that you wouldn't be the same runner or the same Hillary. And at some point, I suppose, like you accept that actually you're never going to be the same. If we go proper deep, we're never going to be the same person that we were last year or 3 months ago. And was there a time or how did you accept at some point that new version of yourself and go, okay, this is me now, and I'm going to take every day as it comes and treat every race as a blessing, etc.?
Yeah, it's a great question. And honestly, the scientific brain in me would like to be like, yes, there was this exact moment where I feel like I'm now accepted this, and it's yes and no, black and white.
Yeah.
But the real truth is that it's more of like an undulation. I think now, before, it was more days me fighting that reality than accepting it. And now it's more days me accepting that is the reality, working with it. The reality being that we're never going to be the same as we were yesterday. Like, aging is inevitable, and it's just how we grow and learn, like accepting that we're resilient, and that's like literally what we're made to do, rather than fighting that reality. And so I would just say it's more of a percentage shift of like more
So it's
days.
an evolving thing, but
Yeah. And that's like kind of, I think what life is
Yeah.
about.
Yeah.
But I mean, and it's something, honestly, it's like what I've learned. It's a skill that you practice. Like I thought mistakenly that I was like, nothing bad was ever going to happen to me again. I had this huge injury. I was not going to get injured again.
Yeah.
But that's
broke
not
your
how-
foot, what, like
I know,
8 months later?
Foot, my ankle. I've had
Yeah.
like surgery on my ankle. I broke my foot again, and it's like, it's like how you deal with it and what you can learn from it. And resilience is like a skill. It's like anything that you can practice. You can kind of get better at it.
Do you think it's important that people learn to make space for both of those realities, so the good days and the bad days, or the last version of you? Because you can still mourn that, right?
Oh,
So you can still, you shouldn't bottle that bit down, right? So you have to accept and make space for the fact that, hey, actually, this is not great, and I'm upset about it.
Totally.
But then find a way to, I guess, re-find joy in the next iteration of you. We have a term with my sports site which we call like evolutions of ourselves. Like evolutions of Oscar is a little term we have in my notebook, and because things change, right? You have children, your partners, businesses, you go back to work, whatever, and you have to then find the next evolution of you and what your sport looks like for that evolution of you. Maybe talk us through that, kind of how you made space for both to exist in your brain, because that can be like a bit of a fight.
It is, and that is something that I've learned, because again, I thought it was just like black and white, like I'd be okay with it 100% of the time, and it's not. And honestly, that was, I think, the hardest part about being injured and any sort of injury. It's grieving. You're grieving the loss of this old you, and sometimes the reality is you'll be grieving that forever, and that's okay. I mean, I think your main takeaway that you're reading between the lines in my book is like that acceptance and that awareness piece. And like the acceptance is a really important part of accepting that this sucks. I don't want to be here. I don't like this. And what else can I do to make the most of it? And so that allows room for like both. I mean, and I think it's actually okay. It's good to have those two conflicting ideas because it makes you better. Like just being in denial of either or is, I don't know. I can't live that way.
No, well, it would probably eat people alive
Yeah.
in some way.
Or you're like lying to yourself. But yeah, I mean, I think it's a really important thing to do, but it's incredibly difficult. Something I have to practice all the time.
So you had to re-practice to walk again.
I've had to do that way too many times.
Yeah.
So I mean, what's that like when you get those casts off, or you get the green light to begin again?
That was one of the hardest moments actually, because like before, like the casts were a cue that I was injured, that there was something wrong with me. But then, so I was like, okay, I'm still recovering. And then when I got it off, I was like, I appeared more normal, and I was like, oh, okay, well, like I still don't feel the same, and I still can't do the things I want to do. I was surprised at how painful it was, especially for not bearing weight on an extremity for a certain amount of time. There's a lot of nerve damage that happens. And so that was actually quite painful. So like even just steps were incredibly painful, which could be pretty demoralizing because like how could you run if just walking hurt, you know? So again, it was trying to focus on, I had to really I would think about it as like a magnifying glass. If things seemed like insurmountable and too overwhelming to think about big picture, like, oh my gosh, if this hurts walking a step, how can I run again? I would zoom in and like magnifying glass, like that present moment, and focus on what I could do in like that individual step. Like just take another step, and then eventually it would like become less painful, especially in like, the more days I practiced it. So, things like that. But it was like trying to find ways through the discomfort, not avoiding it.
Which is interesting because sometimes we'll go have a helicopter view, but sometimes the helicopter view can be anxiety inducing because, you're like, okay, my helicopter view, I'm in this place and I want to get there. And you're like, how am I going to do that? But actually it's almost the reverse. It's going, what can I do? What's the next best thing I can do in this?
Yeah. And then having
moment.
to reverse it. Like sometimes it was like so painful in the moment. So like, how could I distract myself? Like focus on something that like brought me joy. Or that was like, teaching these kids science in the classroom.
Was there a degree of like expectation that, you get these casts off, it's like a success moment, onto that chapter of from here back to running, and like, was there an expectation that it would be easy and joyful and straightforward at that moment?
Yeah, like I was like, oh yeah, this is how recovery works, right? Like bones heal, ligaments heal, then I do my return to run, and then I get to go back this, like, boop, 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 like, tick off the boxes, and then I'm going to be, boom, back to running. But, like, I didn't know. And, there was some screws in my right foot, and, I got back to, eventually, like, I was hiking, and I got back to running, and I broke the screws. So I have to have another surgery to remove that. And then that's another like bone injury, and then more recovery time, learning to walk again. And then, like doing the whole thing over again. So it was a constant, like recovery is never this linear trajectory or like, this like exponential growth. I wish it was, but it's a series of like highs, and then you like 2 steps forward, 3 steps back. And then, and that for every recovering injury that I've been through since this accident, look different for every single one.
That's interesting. Yeah. Do you think you gradually got better at dealing with that grief and allowing yourself to feel and then stepping forward, or was it a bit more of like oh gosh, why me again? Like, it stop?
It was a good mix. I think, to be honest, when I broke my ankle, within a year of like getting back to running again, it was like 18 months from the initial injury, I hit a new low. Like I thought I had hit rock bottom from the fall, but then I hit this new rock bottom because it was like, it was just like despair. I just didn't understand why this happened again, or if I could go through this again. But then that was when I started writing the book. So again, it was like a different learning opportunity. I think I was able to then like transition into the like rebuilding phase faster. But the grief, like, felt like it hit a new layer and a new depth that it hadn't been before. And each one has been different. I think the biggest thing is I've learned more each time. So I know, like, the team that I have to constantly surround myself with, or the resources I have to plug into when this happens. but it doesn't never get easier, unfortunately. And arguably it got harder in some points.
I'm going to try and ask this question in a way that
Okay.
is the way I want to ask it, and you can shut me down if you don't want to answer it. Through all those times and processes, what's your relationship like with your body? Because sometimes you can have injury and you can be quite hard on your body. Like I'm talking as an athlete, and then you can have this kind of negative relationship, you know, with the tool that you're using to have the joy you want to have. How do you, did you feel like it had let you down? Or like, what was that process like? Because it's a tricky thing.
Oh my gosh, it is. And I spent a lot of time being angry of like what was wrong with me, like what was wrong with my body that I like kept on, you know, I definitely would go back into that phrase. And I mean, I read about it openly in the book too. It's like I had an eating disorder in college, and like it definitely like would go there. Cause like if I'm not like exercising, well then like, and it was this weird conditional relationship, and I didn't want that to kind of get out of control, because honestly, I feel like then, you know, I have sports psychologists and therapists that I've worked with, and the biggest thing, I think my superpower, the reason that I survived that accident is because I have muscle, because I have substance, because I feel my body. And the reason why I recovered is not because I have like this some special thing that no one else has. It's because I listen to that. I fuel it correctly. I try to like believe in myself. And the only thing that tearing myself down does is it tears apart that self-belief. It tears apart like just, I think, the integrity and like the me as a person, which then would, I think, you know, tear away who I am as an athlete. And so it's very hard. It's especially, you know, when you're surrounded by a bunch of obsessed people too, and like runners, and like they're running and you want to be running, and then you're comparing yourself to them. But I think the healthy part is like surrounding yourself with people who can build you up and give you that perspective. Because that is a really, really hard thing to do. And I think overall, in like the maybe like the micro scale, I'd initially go to these periods of like hating my body or feeling very fed up with it or frustrated. But then the more I thought about it, being like coming at it with this sense of gratitude of like not focusing on what my body looks like, but like what it had recovered from, what it could do for me, and what it continued to do for me. And even if that wasn't running, like I was able to transition into like semi-elite cycling, like gravel distance cycling, gravel cycling, like ultra distance gravel cycling, and like do all these other sports. And it's like focusing on that stuff and like how much joy that could bring me rather than like fitting a certain mold, whatever that looked like. But it never, honestly, that part never gets easier. It's just basically like being able to have perspective and like the wisdom in it. And sometimes when I can't give that to myself, I have to have other people be willing to,
Hey, they're the truth.
you know.
We at the front of my journal, we have a statement, because similar to you, I've had eating problems, but it's like if I give it everything it needs, it'll give me everything it can.
Yeah.
And that's a little reminder that, you know, you get injured or you get hurt or you run 2.5, not 3 hours, you skip something, or just the silly things. And people listening might be amazed at how we play games with ourselves to bring the best of ourselves, what we think the best of ourselves out performance, which isn't always true. So I just open the journey and go, oh, okay, all right.
And this is something that was really, and I'm continuing to learn as like I said, I just ran my first road marathon last, 3.5 weeks ago. And then, and my training looked totally different. And I was running less hours than I'd ever run. And I was running faster than I have ever run before. And I felt strong. And, you know, it's basically like these different, like what we think is going to give us this is all in our heads. And it's like being able to trust other people, whether it's like people on my team, like my PT, my coach, my sports psychologist, like encouraging me to do a little bit less and seeing what my body can give me with that, as opposed to like, you know, having an outward perspective is so important, because if not, I'll drive myself mad. And it's really interesting. And that's been a really cool part that I wouldn't have been able to learn without the accident, is what I can be capable of because I'm forced to go outside of this little box that I think is what's going to lead.
Little safe zone.
Yeah, lead
Here's
to
my little safe zone that I know. I know what I know, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh.
And I've been doing all this for forever. Like, I mean, yeah, like I've been training this way and like running 100-mile races and 100Ks, and then all of a sudden I basically got fed up with it, changed my training, and then qualified for a VK Worlds team, which literally 3 months before I had raced the Tarawera 100 miler, and I had been training exclusively for 100-kilometer trails and 100-mile trails. And then I literally got burnt out with it because I was just so demotivated and sick of it. And then I changed up because I went back to joy and what made me happy, and training less and like working with people who played into that joy. And then that happened.
Was that when you were in the lows of lows and looking for a reason to keep, because you would get somewhere and then it was like 2 steps forward, 3 steps back, 2 steps forward, 1 step back, like for multiple years from how it sounds. What was it about running and trail running specifically, do you think, that you were like, okay, but if I keep pushing, it's going to give me something that's worthwhile? Because I feel like a lot of people at some point just go, okay, the universe is sending me a sign. I'll just throw the towel in and take up swimming, take up cycling, take up triathlon. Like, yeah.
There's just something that it's kind of like ignorance is bliss. I feel like if I lived in a world where I didn't know how I felt when I was trail running and the things that I could see, it would almost be better because I wouldn't know what I was missing. But now, like, I just always wanted to get back to that point.
Yeah.
But it went back to that point of just moving in the mountains. It wasn't conditional on racing. That's what allowed me to get back there. And the races were just like a happy, like a welcomed, byproduct of it. But I mean, I don't know. I just want to keep trying. I think really the only failure that I'd have is if I didn't try, if I didn't give myself a shot.
Yeah. Do you think you're unique in the sense that, because you come across as somebody who's just uber driven, like more driven than probably, like most of us, we do our run in the morning and then, we go to work and we fluff around and we lose time scrolling reels in the evening. And, we're kind of like mostly focused, but we side quest here, there and everywhere. But you just seem like someone who's more driven than the average person. Is that fair to say, do you think?
Maybe, I don't know. I'm definitely very driven, but I have a lot of interests. So like that's the thing I think that keeps me going. Like I'm back in school right now, and so on the plane ride over here, I had to use the time on the plane wisely, and I was like finishing up an assignment and doing some reading, and then like I have a coaching business, and so I'm coaching athletes and constantly trying to like read up on that. Like I love to do things, and it's like I think like again, it's like running is an expression of my drive, and then it's like school and science, the pursuit of that is an expression of my drive in a different way. So yes, I think so. But also it's like, I think something like that has happened to me. And I just know how short life is. And I want to like squeeze every last drop out of it. But that doesn't mean it's like, I still also like, I like to chill and I like to like watch movies with
I'm a chill guy, don't worry, guys.
I swear I'm super chill. No, people who actually know me intimately would be like, no. My best friends would be like, she is not chill. They describe me as very intense. But there's also like there's balance for it looks different on everyone. But I definitely have those areas. Like just like the past week I spent time just like camping where I was like completely disconnected, and I'll like I'm an avid reader, so it's like just things like that. It's just finding the formula that works for you and being able to stick with it, but knowing that even if you are super driven, you have to have periods where you're a little bit more balanced out and recover, because I'm realizing after running a road marathon 3 weeks ago that maybe mentally I'm not as recovered as I thought I was to go tackle a fast ultra marathon, but hey, I'm here. I'm excited.
So you are here for Tarawera.
I am. Look at me with the good transitions.
I mean, Maya's done a great job at just keeping the plane steady. It's on autopilot. So you are here for Tarawera. You've run it before. What's the appeal of coming
New
out here in
Zealand.
New Zealand.
New Zealand.
Us.
I know, seriously, it is. I came here for this podcast. But no, I like to stay really true to who I am, and I would like to think that I'm the same Hillary that started running trails, 14 years ago, and that's someone who I was just curious. Like, I'd look at a mountain and be like, can I go there? And then wanting to use trail running and racing as a way to explore the world, not only from the trail perspective, but like the local community and like the food, the people. Like, it's just, there's such a richness in traveling, and it's such a cool way. So it's like New Zealand, like I've never been here. It's like such a bucket list place, and it doesn't disappoint. So I'm back 2 years in a row.
And when you're in Rotorua and in the redwoods, because obviously that's a
It's like, feels like California.
yes, it probably smells a little worse. But that the redwoods is a pretty sacred piece of land for the Māori and New Zealand. Do you feel that community connection? You go up there and you see I guess the show and the cultural show that they put on. Do they make you feel welcome and you notice those things?
Oh, 100%. I think that's also, again, like wanting to come to a place, for the race. But the reason that like I was drawn here, or like coming back, is because of all those other cultural aspects and like learning more about it. Like, I spent a lot of time, like we have like geysers and like all like the really cool like but geothermal activity in some places in the United States, but like visiting those things and reading up on the culture, it's like that's what makes it so special. And I mean, it's more than just a trail race. It's like the whole experience.
The whole weekend.
Yeah.
Yeah, a whole bunch of fun.
Yeah.
So you want to ask a few more questions about the remaining career, and then we'll talk, and then we can talk about some shoes.
Yay!
Yeah, because we are a shoe store. Just eventually we talk about shoes.
I mean, I have enjoyed and loved picking your brain because I would love to, not obviously quite in the same footsteps of you, hopefully not, but I would love to see myself over in Europe racing and doing like exploring.
We are going to see Maya overseas in Europe. We're going to change that terminology.
Yeah.
We are going to see Maya.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think that what you were saying about exploring through running, that really sticks and resonates with me actually, and something that possibly road runners don't fully understand is
Not
the
at all.
things.
Point blank. You don't need to beat around the bush.
Oh, you
Not
can
at
see
all.
some cool architecture, I
You
suppose,
can
in
understand
Tokyo
the
and
difference
Osaka.
between
But
like the pace per case.
Yeah.
yeah,
I could do a lot of math at K's of miles per hour.
I guess there's just an expectation around being a professional athlete that once you've signed on the dotted line, the way is paved for you and you're supported and give it to me honestly. What is it? What's it really like? And have you noticed any change, I suppose, from when you first?
100%. So much change. It's not that simple. I mean, so like, sponsorships can come and go. I mean, I was lucky enough to run for North Face. Now I run for Brooks. But like, it can change, like it's like 2, maybe 3 years contracted. I mean, you can't, it depends. But like, there's been so much more, I think, momentum and money coming into the sport after COVID in particular. More road runners are kind of getting into trail. They're seeing the light. But,
Molly's one of them. Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
Dude, this weekend, actually,
Yeah.
Black Canyon. I'm excited to see. So thankfully, we're coming from the future. So I get to race my race and then see what happens in the States. But yeah, so it's like there's a lot more growth. It's a lot more competitive. It's getting incredibly fast. So I've had to change with the times. Like before, I would never step on a track. I'd never done like a track workout. And then, now that's a part of my training to try to, as I've never been a runner. Like I was a tennis player in college.
Yeah.
And then, so changing the way I train, not being afraid of that. And also, to be honest, like understanding that there is going to be a point in time where I'm no longer going to be able to compete at a high level. And that's okay. Like that's, again, it's like accepting that it's like trying to get the best out of yourself during the times that you can, whether that's like now when you're running PRs or when you're 75, like that never changes. The whole point of it is to get the best out of yourself at a certain amount of time. And if it happens to be you're a sponsored runner, awesome. But being sponsored does not put any worth on who you are as a person or how fast you are as an athlete. 'Cause like I said, I am sponsored, but like that doesn't mean that I'm the fastest. Doesn't mean I'm gonna win like, you know, this 50K this weekend. It's like I'm gonna have to work my ass off to like, you know, be like even, you know, in the top 10. So it's like it's all relative.
It's
and
that pyramid of building your relationship with your running, and then the stuff will happen on top if I can get this right down here.
And exactly. And like that's where the real magic happens. So sponsorship can be a welcome thing. But there's so many wonderful experiences that happen. Or like training for a race, not necessarily like the race itself, or like the finish line, or like the result. It's like the process leading up to it. So it's like running is so much more than being sponsored and all of those things. I mean, it is a great opportunity, and like I think like a very big blessing to have. But like the important thing is just trying to get the most out of yourself.
Do you, obviously as a female, and you mentioned about battling anorexia as a tennis player when you're a bit younger, and then that kind of filtered into your career as a runner as well. Have you felt the change in the attitude towards women in sport, and is there still more work to be done in that space, particularly for trail running females and stuff?
Yeah, so I'd like to say that it's changed, but it's not. The stigma's still there, like 100%. But I think the perception around training and fueling has definitely changed and shifted. Whereas before it was like, try to just run as far as you can without eating anything. And then there's like more, I'm part of another podcast where it's like women scientists centered in sports called Trail Society. We constantly talk about that, how like women need to train and fuel differently than men do. And it's like women should never fast. They should always fuel their runs. Like carbs are king. Like big dogs gotta eat.
I love that. You've got that on a t-shirt?
We're trying to.
We're putting that on a t-shirt.
That's so good. There
Big
we
dogs
go.
gotta eat.
All right.
Yeah.
You would have that on shorts on the bum.
On the bum. Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
exactly.
We're on.
So that's definitely changed and shifted, and like, you know, like carbs and fueling your runs and making sure they can go faster. In fact, Molly Seidel just like, you know, she was just talking about how this made like she was able to, you know, run faster because of it. So that has definitely shifted, but I think the like internal pressure or like the idealized like body image or whatever that people think what an athlete looks like in their head is it's still the same, but I think that's a lot of just like the work that I want to do as like, you know, a mental performance coach, and just like coaching as athletes is like showing what people are actually really capable of if they give their body what they need, right? Because if you're trying to control it, like it's like going to break at some point.
That's one amazing thing to come out of, I guess, things like we're doing or non-mainstream media, because often they use a tool, right, to create imagery across all different, you know, people and sports or jobs or whatever. But we consider to be actually we're three talented athletes who all look completely different and have all had success in the thing we're trying to do. So there isn't a way. There's multiple ways to get a job done.
What it needs.
To get a job done, rather than the front page of a Baywatch magazine.
I can't imagine Wayne Rock Johnson running.
No, but you know what I mean. Like it's or the 6 o'clock news. So no, it's cool. Yeah,
We
really cool.
segue into shoes. I've got a shoe question before the shoe chat, because you did make that quite crucial switch by the sound of things from North Face to Brooks, and obviously we know a lot more about shoes than the average person. How important do you think it is to align yourself with a brand where the shoes do work for your feet?
Yeah, so that's another thing about sponsorship is making sure that you align with the brand, like the ethos and definitely the shoes. Like when I was running for the North Face, it wasn't part of our contract to wear the shoes. And so when they started making shoes, and obviously I've had a lot of things happen to my feet, it mattered a lot. And some of the early prototypes, and at that point it was kind of some miscommunication, not the best, but like I was like forced to run in said shoes that didn't work for me in races, and I refused to do it because it literally had broken my foot. And so at that point it was like, okay, I have to switch because I can't do this. I can't afford to be injured. I've already had these catastrophic injuries that can have with footwear causing issues for me. Definitely the North Face shoes have changed now, but like Brooks was my saving grace. Like it was like the only shoe I could literally run in. And in fact,
Did they approach you, or did you try Brooks on and go, I'm home, will you have me?
It's a good way to describe Brooks, by the way.
No, seriously. So I had run my first road marathon in a pair of Brooks Ghosts. And so I knew Brooks already worked for my feet. And they actually, like, in my North Face years, one of my favorite go-to shoes was the Brooks Pure Grit. It was amazing. I loved it. And, didn't last for shit. Like, I would wear one skyrunning race and then, like, the rubber would be totally annihilated. But I loved it. And so, basically, I had some friends in the, like, Issaquah area, and the trail running there was amazing. And I had talked with their shoe designer. He's an avid runner, Brian Bark. And I was telling him about these foot issues that I had. And he was just sending me shoes. No contractual obligation, nothing. Like, just, like, a friend being like, I want you to run, like, you've already been through enough, like, here, try these. And so then I was running in them, and basically because of, like, it was the only thing I could run in, and my job was to run, and it was kind of this gray area in the North Face of, like, you say you want me to run in these shoes, and my previous contract says that I don't have to, so I'm actually going to run in these, because if I run in your shoes, I'm going to break myself again. So I was running, like, blacked out shoes, and ended up, like, then the relationship, I pursued them, being like, hey, because I was actually contracted through for another year through my North Face contract, and I got out of it and signed with Brooks because, like, that was the only way that I could run and race comfortably. So yeah, that was kind of the other way. Like, previously sponsors would approach you, but this time I was like, I want to work exclusively with you. Let's go. Yeah,
that's cool. And that's I think a really cool tone to start off like a relationship like that as well. It's like, I love what you guys do, and what you guys do benefits me. So let's work together. And
he makes such good shoes. Like, I've been so impressed. And, like, they've come a really long way in the trail space. I know it's not as popular in New Zealand, but, like, coming from someone who's had many foot issues and ankle issues, and thankfully I'm a men's size 9, which is a sample size, so I can, like, work with Brian to get certain protos. Like, we've made some Frankenstein shoes, which has been amazing. But it's awesome, and they're really good. Like, they are really good with athlete testing of shoes too. So
I only allowed myself, I think, 3 pairs of shoes when I went to Europe, because I had a backpack and I had to carry them everywhere. And Brooks Ghosts were my, like, I'd run on light trail with them, I'd walk around in them, and my Achilles was a bit dodgy at that point in time, and it just loved it too. So yeah.
And now we have a Brooks Ghost trail.
Yeah, ideal. They heard us.
Well, they've always been good at making shoes for people. Some brands will make a shoe they hope people buy. You know, but we're Brooks go, actually, we need a solution to a problem. We're selling this amount of Ghosts, but all these bitumen trails are popping up in cities because we're trying to reclaim a whole bunch of land and stuff. And so why don't we put a little bit of grip on the bottom of our biggest selling shoe globally? And we found, obviously, they kind of flew, especially here, because we are treated. It's a shame you're not here for a bit longer, because we are treated to some amazing, like, city trails. Like 2K from here, you get lost. Probably not dissimilar to Colorado situation, but it's the same kind of vibe. But the shoe we wanted to pick your brains on, because this is new for us, it'll hit New Zealand in 2 weeks' time, is the Brooks Cascadia Elite.
Ooh, I'm racing Terraware in it.
How good. I mean, I think you said it, Brooks have come a long way. I am into my 16th year of selling shoes. And Brooks was the dad's barbecue shoe that sat very closely to the New Balance 624 in about 2000.
Which hasn't changed.
In about 2010. And then I really felt like, and I'll give them their flowers, they got some amazing researchers to do some amazing papers on human movement. And they really threw the rule book out, or whatever you want to use, what we thought some shoes should be in the industry and in terms of podiatry and physiotherapy and stuff as well. And so Ben O'Nig was a big part of that. And they kind of come up with this preferred pathway kind of paradigm, and then we started to see sort of the guide rails, maintaining flexible forefoots, different densities of foams to see how the foot would react. Obviously, they didn't play too far into the other raw materials very early. They were late adapters to the PIBA thing. But I guess talk us through, this is very different. this is not a Brooks shoe of 15 years ago. There's some pretty cool tech in there.
Yeah.
So, I mean, first of all, what were your first impressions, and did you get to help guide them on I guess what that finished product should be?
Yeah, so thankfully, like I said, I'm a men's 9, so I get to test a lot of these, like, I'm sample size, so I get to test a lot of prototypes. So I would say that this Cascadia Elite, so the Cascadia that you typically see in your store that's been like the Brooks bread and butter is a completely different thing than this shoe.
Yeah.
In fact, the Cascadia, I don't like running in it. Like the 19 now that we're on, or the 18, I think that's better. But before I would describe the Cascadia as a 2x4 that you were running on. And
That's a classic.
There's an Oscar line.
I've been completely honest with the people over at Brooks about this, so they will not be surprised. But I just couldn't run in it because it just gave me no pop. I felt flat on the trail. It's basically for, I don't know, like you could.
It's a glorified dog walking shoe that you could run in.
Like hiking, But so this, like taking that name, it's just completely different. They're obviously revamping the line, but this is, I think, what started, and this is when I was first started with Brooks. I started running in the Caldera, some prototypes, like a little bit beefier shoe, and I think this is like a more streamlined, elite, lightweight version of the Caldera. Because when I first started, it was with Brooks. I was doing longer trails, like so. I raced in a prototype of the Caldera for UTMB. It's like a little bit, wider, like more stack height, but it wasn't perfect because you felt like your foot was kind of on top of this foam, like this foam bed, as opposed to like nestled into it. And so they've taken literally all of that feedback, made it more lightweight, more streamlined. Honestly, I think the difference between like a super shoe, right, is like on the trail, it doesn't necessarily work to have like a carbon plate. I think it does, but like only if it's nestled in between foam, like especially on like very like non-technical trails. You get so much more energy return from the plate itself propelling you forward, but the foam and your feet just feel so much better, and it's amazing what you can do when you're not running in pain. But it's also just it's just like it's like super lightweight. I've run super technical like mountain trails in this shoe. I love like the updated version of like now there's like these gaiters like for running with like scree or in mountain terrain where you're kind of constantly get stuff inside your shoes. You don't have to worry about that like open pocket by your ankles. And then just like the lightweight. I mean, when I was running in North Face, they used like the matrix on the upper, and it's like it just is really breathable, drainable. And I've just been really impressed with this shoe. It's one of my favorite shoes. I think I've run exclusively in this, and I've run 20K races. In fact, I raced the VK in this shoe too.
That's a crazy move.
Yeah, why not? I mean, like I said, I broke my foot in so many times. I'm unwilling to wear like the racing flats just because, like, honestly, if this gives me some energy return back, heck yeah, let's go for it. So, and there's plenty of running in that VK if you remember correctly.
Yeah.
So my track workouts.
True. It was probably not the VK
It was not
you were
a true
thinking.
hilly
Yeah,
go. Like that thing. I did end up making some crucial passes at the last like 20.
Yeah, you were like finally a
mile.
hike section.
But I've raced a VK, a trail marathon, like a pretty mountainous technical races in Colorado, all the way up to 100 miles in this thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, I mean, there's a few things that I like the idea of in this shoe, and it's thoughtful. As Brooks is, I call them a thoughtful brand in terms of like their shoes, and they don't always get it right, and I think you're right about Cascadia, but fingers crossed we see some not nitrogen-infused EVA at some point. But
I'll tell you in a week, 2 weeks time, where it's like Brooks Trail Team Camp, and I'll get to see some new photos.
So Vibram outsole, it's one piece.
Yep.
Hallelujah.
Yeah.
And it's wrapped in the midfoot. Hallelujah.
And a wider midfoot.
And a wider midfoot for some stability. They've got 2 layers of the DNA gold, which is the PEBA-based material, sandwiched in between a carbon-infused PBX plate. So you still get some flexibility. So when you need to move the shoe, particularly in that forefoot in and around small rocks, the narrow sort of goat trails, those stuff, then you're going to be able to duck in and out of places that you wouldn't be able to in a really stiff carbon plate.
Because like that stiff carbon plate, if it's one, it'll just like
Bang,
literally a two
snap,
by four. It's like ugh,
Yeah.
instead of like you get some sort of articulation. They worked hard on that. I ran into a few iterations of it.
So I think that, again, they haven't conformed to the industry and gone, we're just going to use carbon. Is there something better? And so by essentially weaving carbon in with P-backs, you still get the snap off the toe, but you get a little bit more lateral to medial flexibility. The Matrix upper obviously gives you durability, but it also gives you amazing lockdown because the Kevlar doesn't move. And so that'll be why you're describing all the different events that you can use it in, because they're all very different in terms of technicality, width of trail, height of climbing, and descent. So you're going to get amazing lockdown from that. And then obviously the gator means that you're not going to get the shit in the shoe as easily.
Yeah. And that's the thing too with the Caldero, because that's the shoe on the market that looks the most similarly to it, but it couldn't be further for like more different from this. And basically with the Caldera, I would get a bunch of blisters because the lockdown wasn't as good because of that upper material. So
yeah, there's lots of things to like about it. I felt like 2025 was very flat for the trail space. There wasn't.
We've been working on this. So.
Yeah, there wasn't too many exciting things happening, and then I think we're seeing some of the bigger brands. I say Brooks is a bigger brand, like a true running brand.
Oh yeah.
Starting to really think about what a trail athlete needs, and it's nice to hear that they're working with you guys to deliver some amazing products.
Like you could run Western states in this for sure, but then you can also run some. I ran I did the double at the Trail World Champs.
Oh, yeah, the long trail in that.
I ran that in this.
Yeah, same pair that you wore on the VK. You just aired them out overnight, changed your socks over, and away you go. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, good.
That's so cool.
It was one of the gnarliest, most technical.
That race? Yeah, I mean, I was only watching it on the little live stream in the hotel, but yeah. Gnarly.
I'm going to attempt to land the plane. Mostly because I'm starting to get hungry. And I can see my starting to get hungry over there.
It's like, please don't grumble, tummy.
So I got a couple of questions, extra questions I'd like to ask. The first one is, if you could go back and talk to 16 or 18-year-old you, what piece of advice would you give her?
Oh my gosh. That you can, I think I would say, is start with self-belief always. Always bet on yourself. Even if it seems impossible and you have no clue which way and direction to take. Step one is betting on yourself.
And are you proud of yourself?
100%. I'm so proud.
Yeah.
I'm so proud for not giving up. I'm so proud for, I think it's bigger than that. It's not, I'm so proud of myself for listening to the community and accepting help and learning all of these things. I'm so proud for for choosing to believe in myself when it seems impossible and it felt like no one else was there. But yeah, it's just you learn so much when you decide to accept that, kind of surrender yourself to the situation, you know? Yeah.
I've learned a bunch, which is always good. I think, there's some lessons that we can learn through adversity and also from looking at a different sport, because let's be fair, sky running is not the same as road marathon running in terms of the discipline.
Believe me, I've learned so much from running my first road marathon and training for it. I've learned so much, and it's amazing to try different things and to stretch yourself in that way. It's running, but it's so different than trail running.
The locomotive bit's the same, but everything else is different.
So different.
So, thank you so much for spending some time for us. Maya, have you got anything that you'd like to ask or add?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you can see, but I've got a little light behind my eyes. It's kind of, I think I'm going to be smiling the rest of the day. It's been pretty surreal. I think I'll probably have a moment in about 3 days' time when I'll be watching the live tracking of you in the 50K, and I'll be like, holy shit, she was across from me, and but it's just been, I hope that some of my Whippets mates and the younger girlies out there are listening to this and can take away some of these, some of the wisdom that you've shared with us, because it's been, I think we can be quite naive and a little bit self-involved as runners sometimes. And your story really sort of says, snap out of it. You are not the centre of the world. Just take life as it comes, because you never quite know what's around the corner. So just unreal. Thank you so much. And
It's been a pleasure. Thanks. I really enjoyed it. Thanks for having me.